However, the issue now is, does Jay-Z engage in more bizarre activities? Additionally, 50 Cent's desire to work on a Jay-Z documentary is drawing notice. 50 Cent just shared shocking new footage of Jay-Z at one of those ceremonial parties, which completely alters the story. The topic of discussion now is Jay-Z's eventual sentencing. We all knew that 50 would come for him, but few anticipated it would be this vicious. What precisely transpired then? Let's dissect it. The lawsuit and its demise. An updated civil complaint that included Jay-Z as a defendant in a sexual crime case was dropped on December 8, 2024. The plaintiff, who wished to remain anonymous and went by Jane Doe, claimed that he had molested her when she was just 13 years old. According to her, everything started after the September 7, 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. The complaint was filed under the Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act of New York, which allowed earlier claims to be filed temporarily. The statute wasn't even in force at the time of the claimed occurrence, according to Jay-Z's attorneys. It wasn't put into effect until December 2000. How are you going to use it for anything from September then? Jay-Z wasn't going to watch helplessly. Alex Spiro, the leader of his legal team, came out fighting and disputed everything. They referred to the claims as frivolous and horrible and outright claimed that they were an effort at blackmail. However, the sentence itself was what truly attracted everyone's attention. It wasn't some corporate PR gibberish. It seems to have been written by Have himself, prepared to fight for his family and his reputation. Jay-Z, Diddy, and a 13-year-old are the subject of an allegation. And we were only talking about the statement, correct? You mentioned that you thought the statement was premeditated. Yes, that was. There is a point in the statement where it becomes somewhat forceful, so you can tell it was prepared by a lawyer. You're going to find out, like, how I'll handle this, he says. That's an attorney who wants to be aggressive with another attorney. The defense began pointing out flaws in the narrative. According to the plaintiff, she called her parents from a gas station after escaping the alleged assault, and they traveled for hours to come get her. However, when investigators spoke with her father, he claimed not to remember any of that. He would recall saying something along those lines. Without a doubt, her story continued to give rise to other issues. She talked about the after-party that took place at a private crib. However, records and images revealed that clubs like Twirl and Lotus hosted the actual after-parties that evening. The location and timeline simply didn't match up, and things worsened. On the occasion, Shorty said she got into a heated argument with Benji Madden from Good Charlotte. The only issue was that his personnel verified the Good Charlotte brothers were on tour in the Midwest that evening. They weren't even there at the VMAs. In interviews, the plaintiff herself had to acknowledge that not all of the facts were clear and that she had made some memory errors. She continued to make her primary claim while attributing it to trauma and the passage of 20 years. Her attorneys then filed a notice of voluntary dismissal with prejudice in federal court in Manhattan on February 14, 2025. It's over, so that's lawyer speak. No bags were traded, no admissions were made, and the case was closed for good. Although there was no formal explanation in the filing, her team later claimed that she was afraid of reprisals. She left the situation after all of the flaws in her narrative were revealed. No payout, no settlement, just a total dive out. An enormous triumph for Diddy and Jay-Z. In fact, a lawsuit against them has been dropped. Since this lawsuit was filed back in December, it has received a lot of media attention. The woman claimed that Diddy and Jay-Z sexually assaulted her at a VMA afterparty in 2000 when she was just 13 years old. That litigation is no longer pending, though. She voluntarily filed to have it dismissed without prejudice today, filed such records in a federal court. This implies that it cannot be refiled without prejudice. Here, there was no settlement. This was her entering the room and leaving the case. Rock Nation and Have Squad were having a good time. They clarified that no money was exchanged and stated that the lawsuit should never have been brought in the first place. Jay-Z said in a statement that although he was relieved, he was still upset about what his family had to endure. He made it clear that he would not be forgetting what had occurred. As one might expect, Jay-Z is ecstatic with the win but also furious that he had to go through this at all. He said in a statement that, aside from the seriousness of the charges, the false story they made was absurd. I wouldn't want anyone to go through this. It is impossible to ignore the devastation that my wife, kids, family, and I have all experienced. Jay-Z had won the case. There were never any criminal charges. The statute of limitations for criminal prosecution had already passed years ago, and the accusations were solely civil in nature. However, Have wasn't content to simply prevail. The individuals who delivered this to his door wanted to smoke with him. He accused Tony Busby, the attorney who brought the lawsuit, of being involved in a full-scale shakedown. Recall that the attorney who brought this action on behalf of the unidentified plaintiff was Tony Busby. He is the one who, at this time, has been the subject of numerous lawsuits against Diddy. This 18-0 lawyer gets to file a lawsuit while hiding behind Jane Doe, according to Jay-Z, who had a shot for him. And they get to leave without facing any consequences when they rapidly understand that the money grab is going to fail. The system isn't working. According to Jay-Z, the system must be altered. Not only should actual victims be protected, but innocent persons should also be shielded from unfounded charges. The next thing he did was take Busby to court. Jay-Z's forceful defense. Jay-Z did not simply accept defeat and move on when the lawsuit was dismissed in February 2025. No, he went into full attack mode. He launched a full-scale attack on the accuser and her attorney, Tony Busby, alleging that the entire situation was a setup, a blatant extortion plot intended to coerce him into giving him a bag. This guy wasn't attempting to calm things down. This was a message from a millionaire businessman. You must not miss the king when you approach him. The countersuit tactic was planned and executed from several perspectives. The primary lawsuit was brought against Busby in California. In Alabama, a different lawsuit was brought that specifically targeted Busby and Jane Doe. In November 2024, the California lawsuit, officially named Shan Carter v. Busby legal firm et al., was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court. This came immediately after Busby accused Jay-Z of sexual assault in the pre-litigation demand letters. Even before the new complaint was made public, Pav's team was prepared. They anticipated it and were ready to strike back. In his case, Jay-Z charged Busby with defamation, extortion, and deliberate infliction of emotional distress. Two demand letters that Busby wrote in early November 2024 were the focal point of the entire situation. One was anonymous, while the other gave the accuser's identity. If Jay-Z didn't agree to mediation and a sizable payout, both of them threatened to go public with legal action. That, according to Jay-Z's supporters, is classic extortion. Pay up or we'll use lies to ruin your reputation. Additionally, Busby was sued for defamation based on 6 specific claims he made to the media that suggested Jay-Z was involved in sexual molestation, without providing any solid proof. They claimed that Busby acted maliciously even though he was aware that the claims were capped. Hav was looking for serious bread based on the stats. He sought punitive damages, a court order to prevent Busby from making any such remarks, and over $20 million in lost commercial contracts for Roc Nation due to the harm done to his reputation. Jay-Z referred to the initial case as a greed-driven diabolical scheme. He described the suffering it brought his family. Beyonce and the children also had to put up with this craziness. Busby retaliated with an anti-slap gesture. This California law was created to safeguard free speech and swiftly dismiss weak lawsuits. According to his theory, those demand letters were legitimate pre-litigation procedures. He said that his claims were either opinions or essentially accurate. There is no malice. The court case became complicated. There have been several hearings, preliminary decisions, and emerging evidence. One particularly noteworthy item was a taped exchange in which Jane Doe purportedly acknowledged that Busby coerced her into naming Jay-Z in order to increase the compensation. According to reports, she claimed that Jay-Z was unrelated to any attack. Jay-Z used that recording as the focal point of his claim that the entire situation was staged. Judge Mark H. of the LA County Superior Court on July 1, 2025. In a 65-page decision, Epstein dismissed the whole case and granted Busby's anti-SLAPP motion. According to Judge Epstein's ruling, California law does not consider issuing settlement demands prior to a lawsuit to be extortion. Selling silence for money in the civil context is not extortion. It is a settlement with a non-disclosure element, he wrote. Regarding the defamation claims, the judge stated that there wasn't enough evidence of actual malice, which is necessary when you're a public figure like Have. 4 of Busby's statements were too ambiguous and didn't even specifically name Jay-Z, and the remaining statements didn't prove he knew he was lying. That's a high bar to clear, and Jay-Z's team couldn't move on. The judge acknowledged that the outcome might have been different if the recorded conversation with Jane Doe could have been used without raising concerns about how it was obtained, but ultimately, First Amendment protections prevailed. Busby was ecstatic about the victory and declared he was going to pursue attorney's fees from Jay-Z next. Meanwhile, Hobbs' team declared they were appealing right away, claiming the judge overlooked evidence that demonstrated the accusations were false. The battle wasn't over. It simply moved to a higher court. The same accusations of conspiracy and extortion were made against Jane Doe, Busby, and co-counsel David Forney in another lawsuit that was filed in Alabama federal court in March 2025. As of late 2025, the Alabama case was still pending. Motions to dismiss were filed, but nothing was final yet. Jay-Z's approach appeared obvious. It's a whole different ballgame when you have the resources to fight back. 50 Cent's involvement and the feud history. While all this legal drama was unfolding in courtrooms, 50 Cent was doing what he does best, keeping the conversation going on social media. With over 30 million Instagram followers, 50 had a platform to say whatever he wanted about Jay-Z's situation, and trust me, he had plenty to say. His posts peaked in December 2024, right when the amended lawsuit named Jay-Z on December 10, 2024. He posted a deepfake video showing Jay-Z being caught in handcuffs immediately after leaving the stage at an awards ceremony. 50 captioned the video saying, "I'm afraid for my life." This was one of the biggest events. When Jay-Z pulled up to the Mufasa, the Lion King premiere in December 2024 with Beyoncé and the kids trying to show a united front, 50 Cent had jokes about that too. He posted, "Jay claimed they said I rapped a kid. Everyone puts on their clothes. We will visit Mufasa. Here's the problem though. I'll rob Jay-Z, take his Rolex and his diamonds, tell him it's a new game and get in line." 50 Cent meant it as an attention-grabbing move, typical battle rap energy, but Jay-Z took it personally. The 50's beef with Have isn't new. This goes back over 2 decades of tension that never really went away. It all began in 1999, when 50 Cent was still trying to make a name for himself. With albums like Ball 3, Life, and Times of S. Carter, he was at the top of his game. He retaliated against It's Hot, Some Like It Hot in 2000, taking jabs at upstarts biting his style. The rivalry persisted over time. 50 and Nas were involved in the well-known Nas vs. Jay-Z feud from 2001 to 2005, which was resolved when Jay-Z brought Nas out for a handshake and joint performance. However, the tension between 50 and Have persisted into the 2020s. The recent Super Bowl situation was what really set things off. Eminem specifically wanted 50 Cent involved when Dr. Dre put together that iconic halftime performance. According to 50, Jay-Z, whose Roc Nation produces the halftime show, and the NFL had issues with that. "I wasn't in the advertisement because, well, look, Jay-Z was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me. Do you think you were purposefully left out of the advertisement? The real story emerged when Nari from Drink Champs revealed what had happened behind closed doors. It turned out that Eminem had to really push to get 50 included, basically telling them he wasn't doing it without his guy And with M, because, like with Nari was who he had communication with. Yeah, I talked to the big homie, saying I told Jay, and he was telling me, the white boy wouldn't do the truth without 50, he added. I told Jay-Z, my good friend, to come pull up on me after I punched him. When he did, he remarked, the white guy called for 50 Cent. Who's the white guy? I asked. He replied, no, Eminem called immediately for 50. I'm enjoying this Jimmy Ain. That's his guy, he added. I can't do it if I can't break 50, he declared. But that's his guy, right? And I'm like, that's when I start saying crazy stuff because I look and I go, oh, that's your big homie for 50. This goes beyond just rap competition. In his opinion, it's a different kind of problem when you start blocking someone's prospects with your corporate position. Jay's problem is just competitive stuff. This history explains why 50 was so quick to comment when Jay-Z's legal issues surfaced. The allegations in 2024 and 2025 gave him a chance to take aim at his longtime rival when Have was vulnerable. And his social media activity was really just the latest chapter in over 20 years of back and forth that is now playing out on platforms where millions of people can watch in real time. All of 50 Cent's commentary was related to his Netflix documentary series, The Reckoning, which was announced in 2024 with 50 as executive producer and director Alexandria Stapleton. He kept teasing exclusive content on social media, which made everyone wonder if Jay-Z would be featured in the project. When 50 posted a drawing of Jay-Z mocking his appearance on Instagram, someone asked directly in the comments if Jay-Z was next on his list. 50 liked that comment, and the internet went crazy trying to figure out what he was planning. It appears that he might actually do it because he posted a drawing of Jay-Z that kind of makes fun of his appearance on Instagram with the caption, "Please stop sending me stuff like this. I will not share it." He shared it on his social media, so it's basically a joke. The intriguing part of this, though, is that 50 Cent liked a remark made on the page by Dom KMDA. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Dom Kata said, "My only question is he's next, isn't he?" People took note of the timing of the documentary's release, and 50 ended up liking that comment. It debuted on December 2nd, just 2 days before Jay-Z's birthday on December 4th, which some people perceived as a subliminal shot. Another intriguing thing that went over many people's heads is the documentary that will be released on that date. Literally 2 days later, it's Jay-Z's birthday on December 4th, which, in my opinion, sends a subliminal message to Jay-Z that you're next. That's crazy. In my opinion, 50 is going to work on something more than trolling. The most recent event that caused a lot of tension was the Super Bowl. When Dr. Dre hosted the Super Bowl show, Eminem wanted 50 Cent to be a part of it. Jay-Z said he didn't want that to happen. Nari from Drink Champs confirmed that Eminem was the one who pushed for 50 Cent to be there, and that Eminem wouldn't be a part of the show unless 50 was involved. Jay-Z then said, "Okay, the white boy, asked for 50. I suppose we'll make it happen." So basically, Jay-Z didn't want him at the show, which is crazy. But when The Reckoning actually premiered on Netflix in late 2025, guess what? Jay-Z wasn't even mentioned. Despite all the social media hints and speculation, Have was nowhere in the final cut. In interviews, 50 explained the documentary was focused and wasn't personal toward anybody else. He said in a March 2025 Club Shay Shay appearance, "It's focused on the victims. Since there is nothing to include, Jay isn't in it." From a legal perspective, that made sense. By the time they wrapped filming in mid-2025, there was no credible evidence connecting Jay-Z to anything criminal. Throwing in unsubstantiated claims would have opened 50 up to defamation lawsuits. And after watching Jay-Z go after Busby in court, he knew Have wasn't playing around. The question of whether 50 might do a Jay-Z documentary in the future stayed open, but without real accusers or solid evidence willing to go on record, there wasn't anything to build a project on. The question here is, will there be a lot of people that come forward to be a part of the Jay-Z documentary with actual facts and information? I think 50 is not going to work on it unless there are, massive lawsuits that start to come, and, the topic is brought more to light, where a lot more people are paying attention to it. Because right now, there is just a lot of speculation besides Nicki Minaj. I mean, there are people here and there that say things about Jay-Z, but a lot of them don't have solid proof. Yes, the documentary did well on Netflix and received praise for its production value, but it lacked any of the Jay-Z bombs that 50's social media activity seemed to be hinting at. His online actions attracted attention and kept his projects in the conversation. But there's a big difference between trolling on Instagram and making claims that can stand up legally. I believe something will happen because there's a lot of stuff brewing online about Jay-Z, and it's only a matter of time before someone says, "Hey, this guy did this." I don't know. I'm not saying he did or didn't, but we'll see what happens later. This guy did that to me. Business stability and family impact. Despite all the commotion in 2024 and 2025, Jay-Z's business empire remained stable. His estimated net worth of $2.5 to $2.6 billion as of 2025, built through his stakes in Armand Debring Champagne, Duce Kagak, and Roc Nation, and investments through Marcy Venture Partners, didn't take any real hits from the lawsuit, and no significant partnerships fell apart. When the lawsuit first became public, everyone wanted to know if the NFL would distance itself from Have because that relationship meant too much to both parties to let it go easily. I'm not sure what's going on, but are we still going to have the Super Bowl? No contracts were canceled. Roc Nation maintained all of its major partnerships, including the Super Bowl halftime show deal. That multi-year NFL arrangement from 2019 is still intact. The partnership rolled right into the 2025-2026 season. The partnership remained strong. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell addressed it in press conferences, saying, "The league makes decisions based on facts. I'm just asking for a friend. Yeah, I'm asking for Kendrick, I'm just trying to figure out if we're still doing everything the way because look, they will fall back, but they like the NFL. They won't necessarily be associated with that." The connection continued after a legal suit was dropped by February 2025 and no criminal charges appeared. Armand Debriniac and Ducey Sales. There were no reported drops related to the controversy. Those high-end bottles continued to be sold. His other business endeavors continued to proceed. Casino development bids in New York through coalitions involving Roc Nation continued to advance. Investments in Uber and real estate holdings remained unaffected. Hobbs' diversified portfolio and long-term contracts shielded him from any real harm. Analysts cited the lawsuit's prompt dismissal, his aggressive legal response, and his track record as a businessman. Beyonce and their 3 children, Blue Ivy and the twins, Rumi and Sir, were impacted by the allegations. B kept a low profile during the worst of it, but she continued to work. Her Cowboy Carter album came out in March 2024 and went viral both critically and commercially. Tabloids speculated about tour delays, but nothing was formally canceled. Beyonce showed up at the Mufasa, The Lion King premiere in December 2024, pulling up alongside Jay-Z, sending a clear indication that they were united on the red carpet. Jay-Z described the accusations as an attack on their entire family. Roc Nation statements after the dismissal emphasized how hard it was on Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir. The blogs and gossip pages tried to push marriage trouble rumors, pointing to reduced joint appearances and Beyonce's history of putting personal business in her music, like on Lemonade. But no credible sources confirmed any real problems beyond the normal stress of dealing with a situation like this. They kept working together through Parkwood Entertainment and Rock Nation. Jay-Z played his public image smart throughout the lawsuit. Categorical denial, aggressive legal action, protecting the family, and gradual return to normal visibility, all while staying out of direct media engagement on the actual allegations. From the jump when the amended complaint named him, he came out swinging. His statement through Rock Nation's X account called the accusations so heinous in nature that I implore you to bear with me as I work to protect my family from this vicious attack. He labeled the lawsuit blackmail and said he'd fight it in court, not in the court of public opinion. After the dismissal in February 2025, Jay-Z's image recovered. Forbes and Bloomberg ran profiles in 2025, highlighting his billionaire status and framing the entire incident as a baseless attack he beat through the legal system. By late 2025, the conversation shifted back to his music legacy, his business moves, and his family life. His media strategy relied on controlled channels. Rock Nation dropped updates after significant developments, calling the dismissal a victory for truth. The scandal turned into simply another challenge he surmounted. The truth is that Jay-Z never received a sentence. The lawsuit was dropped with prejudice. No criminal charges were ever brought, and his family, business empire, and public image all survived. He continues to launch a counterattack against those he claims attempted to frame him after the court system ruled in his favor. I appreciate you watching. If you liked this video, you can view more similar material by clicking on one of the boxes that are currently playing on your screen.